Hi and welcome back. The end of the year is fast approaching, and as such, I wanted to take a look back at the best games that we played here on the channel in 2025. And it's not gonna be in any specific order or anything like that, it's just gonna be that, and then at the end of the video, we're gonna have a little bit of a status update. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Up first, we have Felvidek, a game that I genuinely didn't expect to like as much as I did. It's made within the RPG Maker engine, and it is a masterpiece. I love Felvidek, from its weird acid trip visual style and its first-person combat that reminds me of something straight out from Hylics, to its weird drawn visual style. I love what Felvidek has to offer. The soundtrack also understates the weirdness. It's just another thing that adds on top of all of this existing weirdness that Felvidek has. And it really is attention grabbing. I love the way this game looks, I love the way that this game plays, and I love the visuals. But more than anything else, I adore how Felvidek is written. It feels like a Monty Python script the entire time. It is a genuinely funny game. From there being drunkards that you can recruit that will then fall off into a river and just pass away. You'll like never be able to use him again because he's drunk and he's a little bit slippery, to having a priest that might be doing a little bit more than just their priestly duties, and having demons that can be removed by just throwing a bottle of liquor on it. What isn't there to like within Felvidek? I love playing through Felvidek, and I really love the atmosphere that this game made, both through its lighthearted humor but also the genuine tense moments of the game that really only is elevated through its really weird visual style. Felvidek is an absolute must-play in my opinion. It's not that long, and I will leave a link to it in the description. Up next, we gotta talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. One of my favorite RPGs of all time is Kingdom Come Deliverance, and the sequel, in my opinion, is an improvement in just about every single way, from a much more simplified combat system to an incredibly engaging story to a beautiful world. I really like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's a game that's gotten quite a few updates since I last played it, but I still think my point stands with Kingdom Come Deliverance. I think it's a great game, not just great, but fun and immersive, both through its ambience when you're playing the game and its really gorgeous world that you're exploring, but also through its interesting and unique combat system that has this matching thing where you gotta like pull the mouse to match your opponent's sword or pull it away depending on what you want to do and which moves you want to execute. I love this entire thing. I also love the writing. Another game that can genuinely make me laugh out loud. As I was playing through with my girlfriend, there were multiple times we would be laughing out loud while playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I really do think it stands out as just being both funny, and it has great gameplay, a interesting enough story to pull that along, focusing around King Sigismund. And I also have to admit, and I really genuinely do mean this, the DLCs I've played through so far, which there will be a full video on later, are really good too. And I also spent way too much time petting Mutt, the dog that you own in Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's just a really good game overall, and it's a game that is well worth experiencing, especially if you haven't played Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. You owe yourself to experience the world of Kingdom Come Deliverance, and more than that, you owe yourself just experience the combat system and the RPG systems at play here. From its a unique thing where if you steal in one area, that reputation can spread around like other towns and stuff like that, to just everything else in this game is all well worth experiencing. The side quests are engaging, the repeat quests are fun, the hunting in the game is fun, the alchemy is great and has its own little mini game, smithing is fantastic and also has its own little mini game attached to it. I really love everything Kingdom Come Deliverance has to offer, and it's a game that I will stand by. If there wasn't a few other games released throughout this year, would probably be one of my favorites. It already is, but it will probably be even high on that list. Up next is Lunacid. Lunacid is a indie Kingsfield-like that, in my opinion, is really fun. It's a slow-paced dungeon crawler that is at times incredibly tense, which is again a combination of its visuals, but also just the music that is being used to build up the tension. It is masterfully done here. There's no jump scares or anything like that here, so nothing to be worried about in that department, but I gotta admit, I adore exploring these first-person dungeon crawlers, and Lunacid really, in my opinion, piqued that curiosity in a lot of ways. From the catacombs to the blood ocean, there are a lot of unique locations within Lunacid, and a lot of freedom that is granted to you to explore however you may please, through both the fact that you can use a lot of different spells without having any sort of worry about whether you have the right stats for them or anything like that. They are all quite accessible. One of my favorite examples of a very accessible early game thing that you can do is that you can use the coffin spell to build a tower of coffins to reach higher up items, as you can use the coffin as a ramp. There's also other slightly less weird spells like fireball and a light, but the coffin one is the one that stands out as just being really funny because you use it in so many silly ways, such as building a lot of coffins up and then jumping up on them to get an item. You can also do things like equipping, a big old black flail, and if you use it for long enough, it will eventually upgrade to a different weapon that is a lot stronger. Every weapon tends to have this upgrading path, and once you level them up, they'll get slightly better. It's a really wonderful thing to play and experience when you're playing it. I think it is one of the best dungeon crawlers I have played, and for that reason alone, Lunacid gets to stand on this list. But on top of all of that, it just completely opened my eyes for the ideas of a dungeon crawler. So I had to include Lunacid here somewhere. Up next is Verho, another Kingsfield and or Lunacid-like. A game that has a first-person perspective and it will have you crawling through different dungeons. Another one of those, and I personally fucking love it. Verho is the quintessential Kingsfield-like. It even takes the aesthetic of Kingsfield and modernizes it in a really satisfying and good way. I think Verho manages to do quite a bit with both its limited aesthetic, but also just the general gameplay. You see, usually when you're playing a game like this, you can get around most encounters by just circle strafing them. So if you just walk in a circle around the enemy, they'll never catch up to you. You have officially won the game. However, in Verho, that is quite different, because in Verho, when you circle strafe your enemies, you just walk around them, they can actually hit you. They have a wide reach and AoE attacks sometimes. And to avoid those, you can jump or crouch, and there'll be a few more implements of that throughout the game. It also has a really satisfying boss fight. Well, it has multiple of them, to be fair. There's quite a few good boss fights, there's a lot of weapons to find, and in my opinion, most importantly, there's a really great story and really great world to be immersed in. I think Verho genuinely manages to be incredible for everything that it's worth. It's also not an experience that's gonna stay for too long, as it is only about 12 hours-ish per playthrough, and I think it is a satisfying good length for the game. It's not a game that overstays its welcome by a lot at all, and you can manage to find almost everything within the game on your first playthrough if you so desire. I really like how Verho is structured and built up, and I think Verho manages to be, in my opinion, the quintessential Kingsfield-like on almost every single frontier. I love this game, and I love its soundtrack. I love the story of the Curse of Faces where people can't see each other. I love how it's used. At one point you get your mask removed, so when you see another NPC, when you go to trade, you die. Like, there are a lot of cool small things that just continue this world building as you play the game, and I think that's really great, and I think it's one of the game's biggest strong suits. Just as a quick intermission, I do want to mention Labyrinth of the Demon King. This is the biggest honorable mention I have of the year. I think it's a fantastic game that I really enjoy playing through. It's another dungeon crawler, and it's also very slow paced, and here you can actually avoid most enemies by just circle strafing them. However, what Labyrinth of the Demon King does really well is the disempowering of the player, so you feel much more at the game's mercy, making the game quite scary, as this is a dungeon crawler with a horror focus. I really love how Labyrinth of the Demon King plays. I love its setting being in Edo, Japan. I love the fact that we're using Japanese mythology and Asian demons and all of that, and I love how the game portrays said characters. I think it's really wonderful. Another game I very quickly want to mention before we get back on the main list is Everhood 2. It's the sequel to Everhood, a game that I also really enjoyed. It's a psychedelic rhythm fighting game. I think it's the best description of it. It will have some very poignant things to say about life and about just existing in general, and I think Everhood really just stand out in that way, both through its psychedelic ass visuals, but also just the feel of the game, the combat being all of this rhythm-based gameplay where you'll have to sort of follow the beat of the game to at least a certain extent, or rather at least I do that, but it's not necessarily what you're doing. You can also just play completely reactively. It has a very unique combat system that I really enjoy. I really like Everhood 2's world, and I think it's a game that is very well worth playing. Lastly, I do want to mention my favorite game of the year has to be Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It was a game that I didn't expect to like as much as I did, but it also has stuck with me since I played it the first time in April. I absolutely love Clair Obscur. From the world to its general design to the story to its combat, nothing about this game in my opinion is bad. So, what specifically is it? Well, the combat system is turn-based, but it has action elements such as parrying and dodging. In essence, it is just timing, but there's also another aspect of the game that I really enjoy, which is the exploration. I love the visuals of the game. I love how the world looks, how it feels almost alive while you're playing it. And while there are elements of it where you can look at it and go, that is really weird, why does it look like that? Most of it can be explained through the game's story, which is something that I personally appreciate. It's very coherent. I think it is a game that deserves all the praise it's gotten. I genuinely love it. I also think the story manages to really be emotional on quite a deep level, and at least to a certain extent really catches me. I really love how this game is told and how the different characters act. I like it a lot. It's one of those games where you have to kind of give a little bit of yourself for it to really reveal itself, and I think that much is true. If you don't care enough to get engaged with it, you will probably not get as much out of it as I did, but I really love Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I also just think the story behind the game, being that it's made by 33 ex-Ubisoft devs, that has of course had help through other studios and whatnot, but it's made by 33 people mainly, and I think the story that they got fired from Ubisoft, went to make their own studio and proceeded to make one of the greatest games of the century is just really fucking cool. I also think the fact that the a story writer is from Reddit and all of these small things that they pulled from is really cool, and I think it's a success story that needs to be uplifted as a stand against not just the corporatism of games, but also just the general fuck you to Ubisoft, honestly, for firing them and for how the industry really churns out people. I think Clair Obscur does a lot of things, but I think most of all it stands as a sort of statement that the individual person really does make the game. And with a good set of individuals behind the game, you can make a game with a lower budget, and you can have that game do much more than you can even if you invest 50 million into it. I think Clair Obscur is fantastic. It's well worth checking out, and it's well worth playing. Now, to start off with, I do want to say thank you a lot for the support over the year. It's been really crazy. We've had the biggest year yet on the YouTube. It's just insane to me that over 100 people decided to stop by and subscribe and wanting more of this. I don't quite get it myself, I'll be completely honest, but I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you a lot. And for people like the Cancel Club and Sir Gronk who consistently pop up in my comments, I do want to especially say thank you, you know. I appreciate that a lot. You really do make it worth my while doing this, you know. Like, it's that sort of, you guys being here, seeing these videos, spending time with me. As much as I want to pretend like I do this anyway, and I probably would, it does make it that extra bit special for me. Now, all of that being said, I do want to also give another big talking point. Earlier this year, I do like these sort of general internet videos where I just talk about some general topics, and I want to do more of that, as I do find them interesting to just sort of focus on something that isn't just games. So I am planning to do a weekly upload schedule instead of a bi-weekly one going into the new year. I'm not sure when it will start, but I do want to just get back to my apartment. I want to finish my exam first and then Probably at some point we're going to switch from a bi-weekly to a weekly upload schedule. What that means is that you will still get your bi-weekly gaming video, but in addition to that there'll also be a bi-weekly upload of some other internet interesting thing that I find fun and interesting. It could be YouTube alternatives or just something that I want to talk about. That's just a general thing that I do want to talk about or announce, I guess. And that is because I treat this as being almost a diary of sorts. I talk about things here because I find them interesting, or just things I find worthwhile talking about. In addition to that, I do think it's important to also mention that I've made an Odyssey account. If you don't want to watch my videos on YouTube, you can go over there to watch it as well. Odyssey is a YouTube alternative, and it's a pretty nice platform that advertises itself without AI, and I think that's a pretty big selling point, at least for me. So I've been re-uploading all of my videos over there over the last little bit. I've obviously also been making shorts, those I haven't re-uploaded at all over on Odyssey. I don't know if I can. I'm not that savvy on that stuff. I'll have to look more into Odyssey, but I've started to re-upload my videos over there. And lastly, I do want to also start streaming. If you don't know, I've been streaming Doom earlier this year, and I also streamed the Destiny 2 expansions, and I do want to start streaming a little bit more regularly. I'm not sure of the schedule, I'm not sure of what yet. But I do think that we'll start out with streaming Kingsfield, and then move on from there. I don't know when it will happen, I don't know how it will happen, and I don't know, anything about my schedule for it. But it's something that I do want to look into because I like doing these things, and I want to do more of them. Now, of course, it could also end up being challenge runs or something else, I don't know. But I do want to look into it, and I do want to start streaming as well. And with all that being said, thank you for listening to me autistically ramble about my favorite games and rambling off a channel update at you. But regardless of all of that, I just want to say thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. Have a great 2026 ahead of you as well. And for the final time in 2025, have a good one. I'll see you all next time. Bye.